A very happy Monday, everyone. I'm very happy you could make it. And a new Monday and a new week means a new Notes to Nono. And for this short episode, we wanted to highlight the work of Naza Alakija. We spoke to her for episode 30 in season 2, and I really loved her energy. Naza is a philanthropist who, with her organization, the Sage Foundation, is doing some amazing work funding projects that focus on education, girl empowerment, and environmental preservation. She is an Iranian refugee who arrived in the United Kingdom at the age of 9 and has the highest belief in the power of education. What makes NASA stand out to me is her approach to philanthropy as a chipping in together model, partnering with loads of other organizations to make things work, rather than funding everything yourself. If you haven't already done so, then please check out the site of the Sage Foundation, which is sagefdn.org, which we will also include in our show notes. You can find some great informative videos there on all the problems that they tackle. NASA's take on things is to just do it. The most important thing is to start and to accept that you will make mistakes. But if you stick with it and genuinely learn from your failures, everything will turn out exactly as you envisioned it would be. I really love that and hope you will love it as well. So without further ado, here is Notes to Nono 8 with Naza Alakija.
One of the things that we really do take pride in is being able to bring solutions to grassroots movements. If today we're having a conversation, if I was to ask you, what are the 5 things that you can tell me that you can do to improve your life? You know better than anybody. So we look at philanthropy and aid in the same way.
Yeah.
How do we support communities that need that nudge or a little bit of support just to get to be able to empower themselves?
Yeah.
And the other thing is we have quite an intersectional approach at how we look at philanthropy and aid. So looking at the bigger picture and looking at, how can we focus on women and girls, education and environment at the same time, simultaneously, to be able to achieve the long-term goals that we're trying to hit with the SDGs. I had the privilege of actually meeting the Huni Quinn tribe running up to COP, and they were talking to me about the different solutions that they had for the issues around climate change, for example, the way their crops are being affected, flooding, deforestation. And we spoke with them, and we asked them, how can we support you? And one of the things that they said to us is, let our voice be heard, and let our and they're very joyful people. They're very this is a very happy community despite everything that they're going through. It really, and that for me was so valuable, because sometimes when you're thinking about climate and the climate crisis, you kind of do lose hope a little bit. So when they came out with the sayings, "Hope dies last," it was quite remarkable. It was like, that's the name of the campaign.
That's the tagline. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I really believe in working, with one another, because we, one organization or one person cannot do everything.
Yeah.
So mobilizing everybody for me is definitely key.
I love on your side that you state you're deeply grateful for the role that education played in your life, and it really shows. You hold a degree in biomedical materials from the University of Manchester, diploma from University of Oxford in its artificial intelligence program. And you have also a certificate in climate change and environmental ethics, and currently doing a master's in international relations at Queen Mary University of London. So loads of academic movement going on there. How important is education to you?
Not very.
Oh, it's an afterthought.
Just an afterthought. No, I mean, for me, I was an immigrant. I left Iran at the age of 9. And I couldn't speak the language. I moved to the UK, where, the culture was completely different. Language was completely different. Everything was completely foreign. But so the only way I could assimilate and fit in essentially was to grasp onto my education in order to be able to learn how to speak English and, to really be able to develop my own sense of identity and agency. So, I know what education did for me. And I really, as an immigrant, as somebody who, had access to those tools, I want to be able to give that to everybody, because it really pushed me to become who I am today. And, I was very lucky to have a mother that always advocated. She always told me, she's like, do whatever you want, just make sure you graduate university.
Yeah.
So, that as well, the support of my family was extremely important. And I really want to be able to give that to other girls that are probably in my situation. It's extremely important to be agile and to respond to, different situations, different contexts. So that's one of the things. And another part of it is actually looking outside finance for philanthropy. So mentorship and providing services for young girls, because I know just a lot of the girls that I've met, for example, that I've worked with in Afghanistan, that have traveled abroad, just meeting with them and encouraging one another and speaking has gone a long way. So I think that's another thing that I really want to focus on in the next year is providing that support, not just emotionally, but also mentorship. Yeah, so I work with UNICEF on a number of their projects. They're wonderful organizations, and for countries where we have very limited accessibility, conflict zones, they're a great organization to work with because they take all the necessary precautions, and they've got really great programs. So UNICEF, yes, it's I work as an advisor with them, and I work on one of their projects called Giga. Giga is a connectivity project, and I'll be very honest with you. To be at the start, I wasn't quite sure about it because going on ground and you see like people just need access to basic things, food, water, things like that, and then the pandemic happened. So what Giga is a connectivity project. So they're working with governments to map every single school in the world to ensure that every single child is connected to the internet, right? I didn't see the importance in that pre-pandemic, but obviously, after the pandemic hit, you start to see, how without that access, years and years of development progress was taken away. There was a gender report from the World Economic Forum that told us we've been set back by a generation with gender equality. That's tragic, and one of the things to me is women not being able to access education in some parts of the world, right? So child marriages were increasing. And so, that's one of the projects that they're working on that's very fascinating. I recommend you take a look. I think one of the worst assumptions is that philanthropy is based around finance and funding, right? And when you invest, that you should see tangible results all the time. It's not always the case. There are times where projects are going to fail. There are times when things aren't going to work out, and we just have to be ready for that and to be able to explain to donors. And I think that's what a lot of the larger organizations are stuck in, being having to answer to donors that want their money specific in an area. I think setting those expectations to say this is something that we're piloting, this is so I think that's the biggest misconception.
I want to talk a little bit about your message for people listening in who have the ambition to also help others in the way that you do. So young girls out there of the next generation that basically say, hey, I also want to start something like the Sage Foundation or set up a foundation that helps people all over the world. What would be your advice to them?
Just do it, get on with it, and start. The most important thing is to start. And I think if you speak to a lot of people who have organizations like the Sage Foundation, it always starts off as, well, I never really started like this. It's always with a different, so just whatever you're thinking about, do it, and stay focused and believe in what you're doing, because eventually it will get to exactly where you're envisioning it to be.